Stop.
Junior on the track. Junior on the track.
I love you. I'm not being rude. I'm taping. Okay. I see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fix Your Crown podcast. Today, we will be talking about a serious matter. It's called the state of our educational system, dealing with our youth and what they deal with, and then what the teachers deal with. So, we're going to invite in our teacher. Hello.
Shalom, ladies. Shalom. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I had just entered, so when you let me in real quick.
Well, we thank you for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
And I was letting them know what the topic will be about today, which is the state of our educational system.
Okay.
Okay. So any opening words or
Okay, so when we say like the state of our educational system, um my focus is on our students,
okay.
African American students, and the change that has taken place over the years. um Parental involvement has
Mhm.
definitely gone down, especially in high school, because oftentimes parents feel like, you know what, I can kind of step back when they're in high school, which is really, you really need to be more involved in high school.
Okay.
But one of our biggest issues is the reading levels that students are on. And it's nationwide. It's, even though I'm going to focus more on the area, Hopewell, Petersburg, things of that nature, because this is where we are. But just nationwide, the reading level is very low. I saw a statistic where I think it was 66% of high school students are reading below grade level,
Oh
and
wow.
that is across the nation. And so here where I am, the statistic is really bad, especially amongst Black students compared to white students. Even have dipped a little bit below the national average, so
Oh
it could be
wow.
better.
Oh
I
wow.
have a question real quick.
Hmm.
When you say like the parents don't engage, right? I know back in the day it used to be a thing of I guess as far as being absent, the parent would kind of get in trouble, have to go to court and stuff. Does that still happen?
They do. They still have to go to court, but it appears that even with that, they're given so many opportunities
Mm-hmm.
to make positive changes. But too, back then, and I know what you're talking about. Back then, they,
Right.
if they were receiving public assistance, it would
Uh-huh.
be threatened to get that taken away.
Oh
So now
wow.
they,
Oh.
yeah, so now they no longer do that. And so it just depends on to which judge the truancy officer comes across.
Wow.
I had a young lady that was on my caseload. And mind you, we're on a 4x4 schedule. So we're talking about semesters with 240 something absences. And that's for the
Woo.
school year. That's more than days required to attend school.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah. But even still, in talking to her mother, it
Mhm.
was um I wake her up, I get her up, but I come in late or whatever have you, but she's made the decision that she's going to stay at home. And she feels like she's stuck between a rock and a hard place because it's like, she's a teenager. What can I do? She's like, I can't discipline her the way we were disciplined when we were younger. So, and that's the case with a lot of parents. They kind of feel like, well, this child is older now. I'm working. I can't be there to make sure they get out the door. They're trusting them
Right.
to do what they need to do, but sometimes they don't.
Mhm.
So I got a
Mm.
question. So, and I don't know if it's like a question or a statement, but I know like back when I was like in school, maybe like a little, maybe like right before high school and stuff, like the community. Like I feel like too, because you do got a lot of parents that's not, that they do feel like they can kind of like lean back once the child get a little older. But I can even remember like going to programs like one was called like the Center or something like that, where it was just so many community programs that you could
Right.
like go to get the extra help. So I know like you being in your career, like where are we in terms of like that? Do they even have stuff like that anymore where like the kids, like can go and get that extra help like after school?
Um, Quite a few districts have those type of programs. A lot of things are going on inside the schools where students can be involved in like readiness programs or programs like tutoring. Teachers
Oh,
are
okay.
always willing to stay after school, but even outside of the school, there
Uh-huh.
are places, programs available for students to go to, or just children in general.
Okay.
And I know in Hopewell there's a place called the Well where
Hmm.
students go and they can get they do things and they can get extra help with their work and things like that. But it's there are things available. It's just up
Okay.
to them to utilize it. And more times than not, it's students that um, don't really need the extra help
Hmm.
that usually go.
Right, right,
And
right.
they're
Right.
I
Okay.
agree. Yeah,
because
I
some of
agree.
them want to get caught up or get ahead.
Right, I agree.
Hmm.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
I did see I think it was a statistic that talked about how the reading levels began to significantly decline after the pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, was that the trajectory for our area prior to the pandemic? And is there like any talks on how to increase those numbers in our area?
Um, the pandemic did do a lot of damage to as far as students reading because oftentimes they were not participating, and two is also hard. um well, I'm not going to say it's hard now, but back then when we first got started, online learning was just something we didn't do.
Right.
um and then trying to teach a child how to read, it was difficult to, teachers were really trying their best to figure this thing out. How are we going to do this? And then, two, a lot of times they weren't getting online. They were, even though they were at home with their parents, supposedly, they were not online. And so, with that, you needed parents to really be involved, especially with those younger ones,
Right.
and to give them the basic foundation of reading to get them started, or at least to keep them on track as to wherever level they were on. So we have noticed that with the pandemic, that reading levels dropped because students just wasn't reading at home and parents weren't reading with them. Now there are some programs. I know Virginia has a literacy program going on now where in the schools they're trying to get things going where they're giving parents like grants, I do believe,
Oh
to
yeah.
hire tutors and things like that, and to work with reading specialists. So they're trying to get more reading specialists involved in the schools. But I can say this: you can do all of these things, but without a foundation at home, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
really
Right.
difficult.
Right.
Yep.
It's rough, and so I just think about, when my son was little, I would read at home. So, I started that foundation with him where he actually like going to the library and picking out books and things of that nature. So it's a home thing, and we really
Right.
get our parents involved.
Yeah.
Because isn't it like in when going to kindergarten, they want you to know your alphabets and a little something before you get started. So it does have to start at home
Yes,
in the
those
beginning.
things are expected,
Right,
but it's not always the case. Sometimes you
right.
have the mindset of some people, it's like, what's the teacher's job to teach? Well, if they come to school like that, they're already behind.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Hmm.
And I think I was feeling like it is a group effort. You can't put everything on that teacher because I've actually listened to people say, well, isn't the teacher supposed to be teaching you this? But I'm saying too, okay, but you're the parent, so
Right,
shouldn't you be trying to at home?
right.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel they want you guys to be counselors. They want you to be the
Yep,
mom. They want you to be the teacher. I mean, it's just
yep.
a
The
lot put on
babysitter.
you guys when
Yeah,
it's a group effort.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything. It is a group effort. And I'll admit that some of the way things are being taught nowadays, parents may not know how to do it, but there are so many resources out there to
Right.
get
Okay.
some help. You know, they oh God, when you say they want us to be the parent, they want us to be the mama, the father, the counselor, everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes we fall into that role. We do because we love our students and we care about them. But we can never take the place of a parent. And so,
Right.
we can instill all these things in them, but if we're not being getting reinforcement from
Mhm.
home, it's hard. And it really is a partnership, and we really do need parents to be more involved.
And sometimes it's not just the educational part of it, it's like the discipline part, when the child cutting up and stuff, and you contact the parent, and the parent automatically takes that child's side when you know how your child be acting.
Because some of the
Right.
kids are
You know,
actually
you
smart. They
know.
just bad.
Yeah, a lot of them smart, but
They just
Right.
bad.
yeah,
Like not to get too in detail, in detail. But I actually worked for Tara. I've actually worked for you, and I'm not saying this just, but and I've said this behind your back, everything. Like you are actually like one of the best. Like
Oh, thank you.
your the way your students loved you was like it was crazy. So it's like you were actually like when you do say being one of those teachers that's like everything to the student, like you actually were. You know what I mean? Like your students were actually even well behaved, like when you weren't in the setting. So it's
that's
like
good.
you were actually like you are actually one of those gems that like really pour into your students, and you really do love what you do. So it really shows. But the sad, I do feel, and this is on topic, off topic, but a lot of teachers too, they get so burnt out that it's like, what else are you supposed to do? And then the parents, because the setting that I work in, we've heard complaints and stuff, but it's like, how do you expect that teacher to be? And it's like, well, this teacher this and this teacher that. How do you expect that teacher to take on all of that? And then most of y'all have kids where you have to go home and deal with your own families as well.
Right. Right. Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate the
You're
compliment. I was going to
welcome.
say, now don't tell all my business now.
I know that's why I said I ain't trying to go too in depth, but you the bomb.
Yeah, it's when I tell you, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the last 2 years, I've gotten a little burnt out myself, and was just like, I don't know how much longer I can do this, and I hear a lot of people say, well, they need you. I'm like, well, I need myself. So teachers they need mental health days. And because it gets very tiring, because we really pour ourselves into this thing. We really look at students, not just, okay, I'm just here to teach you and send you on your way. We trying to teach these young folks things that they're going to need outside of school, outside of the curriculum. And so and the behaviors is, y'all, I'm telling you, different. Like when
Mm.
Kiara was up for me sometimes, we talk about a whole totally different breed of young people now.
Yes.
The level of respect has really dwindled, and so
Mm.
the mental health issues, it's just a lot. And these are even what people would consider the good students or the smart ones, just making crazy decisions, and it's like they just don't care. You know what I'm saying? So it does take a person that's patient, someone that can really let me relate to our students, because sometimes we have to just get real with them. And um that's just the type of person I am. And I talk to our Black students like, listen, I'm gonna pull your coattail. What you're not going to do is act like this in here. But everybody's not like that. And too, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of Black educators. We have a lot of young white educators, and some of them, in certain circumstances, they on survival mode. So a lot of these students get away with doing crazy stuff because they know that they can.
Right.
And then they know who they cannot. Because I asked the student one day, I said, if we have more Black teachers in this building, how do you think you would behave? Oh, I know I wouldn't be able to get away with certain things with y'all. So, they know. Some of them know, some of them don't care. They're just like, whatever, I don't care who you are. And unfortunately, I have seen them behave the same way with their parents. So
Mm.
I'm telling y'all, this is a whole new animal we dealing with.
What do you think influences the change in behavior? I mean, the saying kids will be kids, but it's different. I agree with you. Like, what do you think is the biggest influence that you can see as an educator on the kids?
Home. I mean, really, because they establish those behaviors young.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not corrected or trained up the way they're supposed to be when they're small, then they're going to continue with that same behavior. I believe that, I don't know, I feel like my generation, I'm 53, and I just feel like my generation, we kind of missed it somewhere. I think we were the ones that started having babies really young. And I remember I had a friend, we were 14 and she was pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And we were playing, when she had her baby, we playing with dressing him up like a doll and all kinds of stuff, playing with him and whatnot, but not really knowing how to be a parent. So, and I'm not saying that all young mothers or fathers didn't really raise their children right, but there is a difference when you're not mature.
Right.
And you train these babies up the way that you wish you had been treated. You get a lot of them, well, I'm not going to do this when I have a child and stuff. And they don't. And so they want to be friends. And that's where that disconnect comes. Instead of checking them when they're small, they laugh at it. You think it's cute.
That's right.
And this is what we're dealing with in the schools. They think they can get smart with you and roll their eyes and all of that stuff and want to be your friend. Because even in the education system, we have to be very careful, because in the high school level, they want to be your friend. You can't get too comfortable with them talking about personal issues that you have no business talking with, because that's still a child. But
I've dealt with that.
I think it starts at home.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had situations where my kids were in school and they would come home and talk about like the teachers, all this information knew about the teachers. Like, well, how you know that stuff? It's like the teachers being their friend and telling them all their personal information. And then they're not even required that respect to call me Mr. or Miss. They call them by their first name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, where y'all started at?
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a question. I don't even know how to. All right, when it comes to like assignments, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the rule, or what is it a different rule for each teacher or just for the school system itself? Like, if a child turns in their work late, back in the day, it's late, you get a 0, or you might get a little something. But it wasn't like we give you a couple weeks. So, I
Listen,
mean, is it still similar to that or?
it's supposed to be.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Missing assignments as far an assignment to me. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Henry is old school. And
Mm-hmm.
missing assignment to me is you was absent. You have, according to the school policy, you have, I think, up to maybe 3 days to get your missing work complete. A missing assignment is I'm going to sleep in your class, and then
Mhm.
maybe the right before progress reports come out, I need my missing work. No, your work was not missing because your body was in here. But it depends on the teacher and what they're willing to tolerate. Because me, I'm
Okay.
like, no, because you was here
Right.
and you chose not to do it. Now I will cut grace when if I notice a student, you got something going on, and I will talk to them in class. If you got your head down, you good. What's wrong? Let's go out in the hall. Let's talk. But I will
Right.
let them know too. Okay, I understand. However, you are still accountable for getting your work done. So I'm
That's
gonna
right.
need this done.
Right.
I want
Okay.
it tomorrow. You
Right.
know. Other than that, there
Right.
are policies, but it's what the teacher is willing to deal with.
Okay. Okay.
And then too, sometimes administration will uh try to talk to a teacher and get them to help the student,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
help them like, oh, they need to get caught up. Well, no.
And is that to make the numbers look good for the school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But I can say with the administrative teams that I've worked with, I will say that when it comes to things like that, they have back the teacher. Now they might ask if you're willing,
Yeah.
but if you're not, they don't
Mm-hmm.
they don't force it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I have a question, and my question was, how do you feel about all around school, all year round school? How does that, as far as like for the students go and the teacher, is it a bit much? Do they need to take that break?
Um, I will say this: my personal opinion is that it works well for elementary school. Um, Maybe some middle school, but at the high school level, we don't get a lot of, as far as like it's the intercessions, we don't get a lot of participation. I personally haven't seen this great increase of student achievement because of the balanced calendar, which was one of the things that was presented, is that it would be good because students wouldn't lose what they learned over a long summer break. However, I
Yeah.
haven't seen this difference because, like now, like I said, this new breed of students, they forget things from week to week. So
Man.
I'm serious. I'm serious. They do it. Oh,
Yeah, I
I
believe it.
forgot. I don't remember that. And so I haven't seen like this great improvement. But elementary levels, I've heard and seen some things where it's getting better for them. But it's something different we need to try with high school. However, I do like the breaks in between, like the 2 to 3 week breaks we might get throughout the year. But however, I miss my summer break. I do. I like being off during the whole month of July and part of August and stuff. So
You
it's
earned
been
it.
an adjustment. Huh?
I said, I feel like you earned it by the time it rolled around. You earned that time to yourself.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I just feel like, just as a whole, like, and this just my, I ain't gonna say unpopular opinion, but this just, I just feel like going back to the parents, like, it really is just like a big lack in there. And I'm not trying to, jump on the parents or, say anything negative to anybody, to our viewers or nothing, but it's like nowadays you see so much of the parents just want to be. You got social media and everything, and the parent just want to be. And I feel like sometimes the teenager is trying to mimic the parent. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it causes them to try to like grow up and be way before their time. So it's like a lot of of course, people had their kids younger and stuff, and you like actually hear that like bragging. You know, it's like, well, I had my kids young, so I'm gonna enjoy this time in my life. And it's like, but your teenagers are messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like from you having them young, your teenagers are messed up now. So it's like, yeah, while you feel like you got that free time, you still got this teenager looking at you like, yeah, my parent cool, this, that, and the third, and then they're really like trying to be there. So they're like, man, bump school. Like, you know, you actually can like see the difference. Like, of course, my mama, she was a little older, by the time she had me. So it won't no playing. You know what I'm saying? Get up, get to school, get this work in, do what you need to do. I remember I was cutting up in school a little bit. In order to get out of school, my mama made me go to school an hour early and stay an hour late, just so I could catch up and do what I needed to do. And that was just from goofing off in math class for a few assignments. The teacher said something. Shout out to Miss Brown. She used to work at the high school many years ago. I've been out of school 22 years, y'all. But she said something to my mom, and she made me. My mama took me to school. Sometimes I had to walk. You know what I'm saying? But I graduated on time, and it just, it helped me make better decisions. Like, man, I'm not trying to play. So I feel a lot goes back to the parent and them just wanting to be free and not understanding that you're leaving this child to kind of like, want to mimic that in, in,
Right.
a, in a certain kind of way.
Yeah, it absolutely does go fall on the parents. Um, they are the number one, the first and number one teacher. And
Right.
so and they are needed. They really are. And some students, they think, well, yeah, my mama cool, whatever have you, my daddy, we talk like this. Like, oh my God, y'all, the cussing. When I
Mm.
told y'all it's bad, it is bad. And I'm like, do you talk like that in front of your mother? Yes. So it's just, and it's like they can't help it. They cuss so much, they don't even realize it. So when I'm like, watch them out,
Wow.
what I say? And I'm like,
Mm.
I don't even
Wow.
realize it. But then too, you have those students who wish that their parents were a little more involved and
Mm-hmm.
did have more discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple years back, a girl in the ninth grade, she was talking to me and another teacher, and this girl was crying. She was like, my mother don't care about what we do. I
Mm.
said,
Mm,
what do you mean? She don't. Like, we could stay out all night, we could do whatever,
mm.
and she don't care. And I was just like, wow. So either way, they're watching. So,
Yeah.
Right.
but I believe parents should be held more accountable
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's your job. And like I said earlier, even though they're teenagers, they still need you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that social media has impacted the way parents and children value education? Because maybe it's just my opinion, but I've noticed, or it feels like I've noticed, everybody has some type of, well, there's been some type of recent disdain on being educated. And it's like, well, I don't need that because I can be an influencer, or I can be
Mm-mm.
an entrepreneur. It's almost like they just don't care about education anymore.
Oh yes, I've had that conversation. Well, I'm gonna be an influencer. I'm gonna be rich and blah, blah. I'm like, well, what you gonna influence somebody to do?
Right,
So,
right.
That's
I
not
mean,
right.
really. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Boy, that social media is a beast. It's a beast.
Yeah.
Woo.
Um, so that's why too now, a lot of school districts are using these yonder pouches, trying to keep these phones out the way. But when I tell y'all, it was just like them jokers was spazzing out. Like, you're not gonna get my phone, and they would rather get suspended. Parents
Wow.
would
Mm.
come up to the school like, y'all don't pay for the phone and all this and that. And so
Oh
that's why I'm
my
like, this
goodness.
right here should show you this is an addiction.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
addiction, y'all. And
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they get it, they popping them open, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and that's all they talk about. Did you see someone? I'm like, I don't know who you talking about. They telling me about all these people on social media, and I'm like, I don't know. Miss Henry, you old? Yes, I am. Yes, I
When we
am.
were
I
coming
know what
up,
you're talking
we
about.
wanted to go to school. Like we wanted
Mhm.
higher education. We had movies like Higher Learning, and we had shows
Right.
like A
Uh-huh.
Different World. So
Who they?
it's almost like now they don't even. It's like, oh, you going to college after high school? I don't know.
Well, I will say this: not every student wants to go to college or really needs to go to college for
Right.
what they want to do. So if they have like a solid plan in place, they can be successful without going to college. I've noticed now, a lot of them are going to trade school, and even with trade school, they still have to have certain basic skills that even with the military having to pass that
Right.
ASVAB test, they're struggling. They're struggling because they can't. The writing skills have really gotten bad due to like text messaging. They want to write text language in their papers, and
Oh my
it's rough,
God.
y'all. I'm telling you, it's like technology has its good points, but it also has negatively impacted so the way people communicate, and especially our young folks.
Oh my
Right.
God.
I'm
Wow.
when I tell you the writing, we get like local businesses talking to the CTE teachers like, you need to teach your students soft skills. Like they don't know how to talk, they don't know how
Wow.
to speak, and it's rough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you
That
think
is
like
so
that would even
heartbreaking.
go for like just a basic interview?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They don't know how to dress for an interview.
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
hmm So it's basic things that we really need to get back to. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just go back to the foundation of what what kept schools successful. You can
Yeah.
integrate technology and all of that stuff, but you still need the basic foundations,
True.
like
Yeah.
phonics. I remember once for a few years they had got away with teaching students phonics to read. They would focus on what they call them. Uh, I can't remember, but it's like they teach you a word, sight words. So you see this word, and then you have to, or a picture, and you have to relate it to the word. And I remember my son, like I said, I taught him at home. We're gonna read together. We use phonics. So one day he was in the first grade and we're reading, and he was just like, just guessing. That's what are you doing? Sound this out. Well, Miss So and so said to look at the picture and figure it out. I said,
Wow.
I ain't gonna tell y'all what I said about the teacher, but I said, well, but I had a meeting with her and I asked her about that. I said, he's always learned how to read through phonics. What is this he's talking to me? She said, oh, well, we just don't have time to teach students phonics. So now they're starting to incorporate phonics back into the reading programs, because I'm like, this is what you need. And
Right.
so man, when I tell you, like a lot of the students from that era, their reading's a little bit weak.
You think they're gonna teach writing cursive again?
Some
You took
places
the
are.
words out my mouth.
Some places are. I was dumbfounded when I found out about that. Like, what do you mean you don't know how to write in cursive?
How you
So
So,
what you
sign
think?
your signature?
What you
hmm,
saying, Key?
I was like, how you? When I heard that, it blew me because I'm like, how in the world you gonna learn to sign your signature? What you gonna print?
they
What you gonna
print.
print? How you gonna sign your signature if you don't know how to write in cursive?
They
Yeah, your
print.
check gonna be directly deposited, but
Yes.
still,
Look
you
at
need to have
forgery
your
is gonna be
signature.
on the rise.
Listen,
Yes.
they print. I don't know. I just don't know, like, what genius came up with that. I just don't. And sometimes, to be honest, I feel like this system is set up for some of these folks to fail, especially in certain areas, especially in the areas where we live.
Right.
Yeah.
And I try to have these conversations with students, and I'll just pose questions like, what do you think about this? And I tell them, I feel like you're being set up to fail. That's it. That's why you have to take a look around. That's why this jail is over here near where you live. I said,
Right.
you got certain areas. I said, you wouldn't dare see a jail in their area. I
Yep.
said, but this one here, I said, because of the reading levels. And they were like, oh, and these are conversations that need to be had with students as well.
Yeah.
Just telling them what's real. I said either you're going to fill up that jail or you're going to fill up the morgues.
Wow.
And that's what we're seeing. Or you're going to never be self sufficient because you're always on government assistance. And I'm telling them, like, you don't want that. You don't want it. Even though some of them, that's how they grew up. And it's crazy. It seems like the inheritance that families are leaving is poverty. So you got whole families that have lived in the same project, and I don't understand that. I'm like, when are our minds going to shift where we want something better for our students, and when does that child want better for themselves?
Right.
I'm sorry, did I kind of go off on a little tangent?
No, because that actually brought
No,
me to
you're
one of my
good. You're
questions. Like,
good.
do you think like the standardized testing, like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I have my own, but I'd like to hear yours.
I hate them.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say this because the standardized tests are on grade level, right? So, like I said earlier, you have students that are reading far below grade level. I've come across students that are on beginning reading level, but yet you have them in these classes and you expect them to pass these standardized tests, which is on grade level. And so, even though you can work with them, you can work with them in the classroom to get their work, to get them to understand their work. But when they take that test, they don't pass it. And when they get to high school, if you don't pass those tests, you don't graduate.
Right.
You can't get your diploma. And so I think those tests, they're biased because certain language are in those tests. And if you haven't been exposed to certain things, then you're not going to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. My opinion kind of leads towards thinking that they're kind of biased. So, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, especially like I said, they're on grade level. And when it comes to those reading, it's hard. Now, you got some students, though, they might struggle with reading, but they're very good with math and science. So they can pass those tests, but most of the time it's difficult, and they get a whole lot of tutoring and enrichment classes to try to help them out.
Okay.
So why do you think that the No Child Left Behind thing, like, if they're struggling and they can still get tutoring, but yet they're still passed on to the next grade? Like, why do you think that is?
Like I said, I believe it's a setup. So with the No Child Left Behind, that's where those standards tests came into place. And so with that, you're saying you don't want any child left behind, and it was really supposed to have been calling themselves holding teachers more accountable for a child's learning. And some teachers will do some things and allow a child to pass. They'll push them along. Parents have allowed it. But the thing is, like I said, when you get to high school, you have to pass those tests in order to graduate. So you might get someone that's been passed along from elementary all the way through middle school, but then when they get up to that high school, they're not going to pass.
Right.
And that too ties into when they start dropping out, because I'm like, they don't know anything. They haven't gotten that foundation. So No Child Left Behind was, to me, a mess, and it still is.
Yeah.
Okay.
A big old setup.
I just get so nervous because it's like, man, these are our future leaders, you know, like these are the people that's gonna be running when we get elderly and all of this. Like, these gonna be your CNAs, these gonna be your nurses, these gonna be the people that's kind of like, you know, running America. So it's like, where are we? My goodness, like it is scary.
Yeah.
To think, you know, like just education wise, you know, just in every stance, it's like it's very like, I ain't gonna say discouraging, but it's scary to see like where we gonna be maybe 20, 30 years from now with the youth that we have running running your everyday stuff. Even your grocery store, sometimes you go to the grocery store and the teenagers that's in there, it's just like, man, you know what I'm saying? We at the grocery store. So it's like, it's scary to see what's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't want to get y'all show flag, but look at the leadership now. So
Yeah. No
Yeah.
lies.
now, in all fairness, teenagers mature, people
Yeah.
change. So hopefully we'll see some change, and
Absolutely.
with some of them that want to become leaders and things like that, because right now, most of the ones that I know that, doing all the crazy stuff, they don't want to be leaders. They don't, that's not even on their mind. But yeah, it's all I can do is say, man, pray.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All righty. So I want to thank you for coming on. I thank you for talking to us. Do you have any last words, anything that you want to just say to the parent? Well, you said a lot to the parents if they're listening, but any closing remarks?
Um, just let's get back to basics. Let's get back to basics. My thing is, even the parents, if you don't know something, it is programs out there for you all to learn how to read. I find that too, that you got some parents that they can't help their students, but there's things out there to help them. And get back to basics. Let's start holding these young folks accountable.
I just wanted, and please forgive me for this. I know we just said closing remarks, but I had lost connection. Just real quick, because this is something that's near and dear to me, because I have a special needs child. And even how, I don't know how to word it, but like in terms of like, I'm even nervous. Like my son's teacher now, he is like, I mean, she is like the bomb.com. Like she has been so good to my son that we held him back another year just to be, and she is, not to this, not playing the race card, but she is an African American teacher, and she really like has the heart for him, because he is like, he's nonverbal at this point. He doesn't say, full sentences, and from a parent standpoint, sometimes I'm nervous of my.
Let's see.
Is he gonna have a teacher? So how can I like stay, just like on top of that, as far as just like knowing if he's getting what he needs, because he is like, he is delayed in a lot of areas.
Well, first of all, you should always receive progress reports. You always have the option of asking to have a meeting, just to check, see how is my son doing in these schools. Mm-hmm. And because his needs should always be met. Special educators are always held to very high standards.
Yes.
And so compliance is one of our top priorities. Okay. So like I said, you can see if you can schedule where we can come into the classroom and visit with those teachers. But I can say that the district that your son is in they have some very good teachers.
Okay.
With those students that have those delayed developmental issues going on. Okay. And, but you got rights. You know how to get in touch, get your parental safeguards. Keep those handy. Always refer to those, but always stay in contact. Some parents, they don't stay in contact at all.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate parents like you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate
some of your questions, some of your comments I did miss, but I hope I answered your question.
You did.
Thank you.
All righty. So I would like to say, Miss Henry, thank you so much for coming on, for talking to us. You definitely get a round of applause for that
Yes,
one.
You're
you
welcome.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Look,
Yes.
I tried to match y'all a little royal theme, and I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it got a crown on. Y'all see my crown?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you on again, talking to us,
Yes.
seeing has things improved. Uh, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Yes.
we'll see you in 2.
Yep.
All right. Peace.
Junior on the track.